NFL Week One is in the books, and it was an eventful first week of football. Like if there's any way to say football was back, it will be Week One. When it comes to like things didn't go as planned. From now on, when it comes to the prediction videos, we'll have an actual counter on the left or bottom right of the screen, so you guys can know what my record is. Right now we're 10-6, yeah, because the things didn't go as planned. I don't think anyone saw the Buccaneers beat the Vikings. Even when it comes to the pick'ems, we'll pull them up right now. So like you see with the pick'ems, 4% of people freaking had the Buccaneers winning. So it's not like this was like a game where people were like, yo, the Buccaneers got like a real shot. Week one was something. We'll break down each game, and I'll go more in depth when it comes to games that I care more about, aka the Broncos and Raiders and Packers and Bears. As well, in the next video, we'll do a week two pick'em. So I don't have them both be one video because the video could be long. We'll talk about Rodgers' injury as well in today's sport video when it comes to our week one recaps. So starting things off with my first pick, which was the Falcons versus Panthers. We had the Falcons winning. It just kind of felt like the Panthers are a team that's not entirely going to be there yet. This isn't like anything about like Bryce Young, but more so just it's his first year in NFL. The team itself isn't really all that good, and they're very young. And the Falcons do have a good enough running back system to where they can rely on that. Essentially, this was a game where you have two teams who probably won't be fighting for the division. So it's kind of like a toss up on who could win. Saints and Titans. I just don't view the Titans as a team who could be like entirely relied upon, which is why I picked them to lose. I feel like the Saints with Derek Carr, they have some decent receivers. They have a chance to win that pretty bad division. And the Titans are kind of just going with the flow. Like it's not a great team. And then Lions Chiefs, like I said, I called it. I'm one of the 11% who said the Chiefs will lose that game. If you watch my video for week one, I'll be attached at the end of this video, or to your left, here to your right up top. I talked about how missing Chris Jones is going to be a big thing, and not having Travis Kelce will also be a big thing. When you watched that game, you saw exactly that. You saw the Lions be able to move the ball very, very easy with the running back. Chris Jones would have been able to handle that. You saw a lot of the Chiefs receivers drop a lot of passes. A lot of the pick that Mahomes had was more so because of a drop pass, more so than him doing an interception. And if he had Kelce, because again, remember when it comes to tight ends aren't just people who can get those check downs, who can do some blocking, and who you could throw the ball to here and there. Tight ends, generally the best ones, are always the safety blanket for a quarterback. They'll turn safety blanket, meaning if there's any trouble a quarterback is having, the tight end's right there to throw the ball to. If the quarterback needs someone who they can rely on to catch the ball, they can rely on a tight end. Travis Kelce is someone who Mahomes can rely on, and him not being there is a big thing. Also, one point, if you really think that Kelce would not have been a difference maker in them losing that game, you're crazy. Like, it's week one, Lions fans are already like, yo, we're gonna win the division. It's like, no, y'all not. It's week one. Week one is a toss-up week. It's basically the dress rehearsal for the starters, because preseason is mostly about the other guys who try to make the roster, not the starters. So the first 2 or 3 weeks of the NFL season are usually the starters are knocking off the rust for real, which is why you start seeing guys get hurt a lot in week one, week two, because the starters aren't getting hit as often as third string and fourth string, who were getting hit the entire preseason. So that one is as I expected. The two big misses for the Chiefs, they were noticeable. Niners and Steelers, didn't expect it to be this big of a blowout, but I did expect the Steelers to lose. I don't really have that much faith in the Steelers quarterback. Najee Harris is very inconsistent. And then the Niners are just a stacked team. Like, they're just out and out a very, very stacked team. And like I said before, when it comes to their quarter situation, is Brock Purdy for real? Like, was last year a fluke, or is this guy gonna be doing just as good this year as he was last year? And so far, he's showing like, yeah, there wasn't no 1 year fluke. We out here. That's what Brock is saying. Brock's saying that they out here, and that if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, they probably would have freaking went a lot further in the playoffs. So my first loss, when it comes to the first week of football, like, we went on a 4-game win streak, just boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, just winning games. And then this bloop right here, the Vikings, huh? 96% of people freaking had the Vikings winning that game. Excusez-moi. How did this happen? And I know exactly how it happened. Baker Mayfield has this strange, uncanny habit of winning games when he shouldn't win games. Like he's not the greatest quarterback. He's not even a good quarterback, but he does have a habit of winning games when he shouldn't. This is one of those games where it's like, the Vikings should have had this. Why didn't they have this? Rough game. And they went to the Cardinals and Commanders. Closer game than expected. Without Kyler Murray, I just don't see the Cardinals being able to even like compete. But they compete in that game. But it's Commanders, so it's like, yeah, you can be competitive against them. They're gonna be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I guarantee that. Texas Ravens, that kind of went as expected. 2% people thought Texas would win. I imagine it was all just Texan fans. Ravens, they look like themselves. They're a little sluggish out the gate. J.K. Dobbins got hurt, and it looked like it's gonna be a bad injury. J.K. Dobbins is one of those guys where it's like, he's a coin flip. He might get hurt every single year. Like that's the kind of player he is. But when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. He's a really good running back. So they're gonna miss him. Harbaugh said they're gonna have a in-house run system, so basically don't give everyone carries, and whoever does good. Then Packers and Bears, and this was a coming out party for Jordan Love, where it's like, all right, can he at least beat the rivals? Can he beat the team that Aaron Rodgers has dominated his entire career? Can Love look like a decent quarterback? And I told y'all going in, Love's a good quarterback. I said, I keep telling people this. The only people who don't think Jordan Love has a talent or ability, it's about the sun is peeking through. The only people who don't think that Love could do it are people who never watched him play. The people who have only heard about him, they've only seen him passing. They'll see like the garbage games that he came in where the Packers were losing and he got thrown in. And look, well, he threw 2 interceptions in this game that didn't matter. Like this is just irrelevant. Games that he played in, they use it as a benchmark for saying that Love wouldn't be good. Whereas if you're a Packers fan like myself, you saw him in minicamp, you saw him in OTAs, you saw him, in preseason, you saw him again. I like the reference to Chiefs game. Jordan Love almost beat the freaking Chiefs, and it was a really good performance from him. And in this game against the Bears, he looked like an experienced, composed quarterback who's definitely in charge of the team in the sense of he knew what he wanted to do. He knew how to get the ball where he needed to get the ball. There's a lot of good passes, a lot of passes where an experienced quarterback would make those passes. So he had a great game. Aaron Jones got a little banged up. He thinks he's fine. We'll see what as week goes on. Defensively, I do think the Packers need to work on their defense. The beginning of the game, but like the first half of the game, it didn't seem that way. The Bears, most of their points came in garbage time, but there was a lot of bend don't break when it came to the Packers on Sunday, and that's a lot of Joe Barry. Just if you're a Packers fan, you know exactly what I want to say about Joe Barry. He's just not a great defensive coordinator. The Packers have a lot of defensive talent, so they shouldn't be like having a bend don't break defense, especially against a team like the Bears, who are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. So you shouldn't have a bend don't break defense against one of the worst teams. Yes, Justin Fields is hard to contain, hard to deal with, but that's you can't use that as your excuse the entire game, especially when the running backs also having a good game and some of the receivers also having some decent games. There's a lot of big yard gainage, a lot of situations where Fields should have got sacked, but didn't get sacked. So that's something more that's not the coach. That's not on the coach. That's some people being able to get their tackles and get those wrap ups. But generally, the Packers had a decent game. I expect them to do well. I think if the Packers stay healthy, they can easily win a division. It's not a hard division to win. So then we went on a loser streak. The Rams lost to Seahawks. I don't know what I expected when it came to that game. The Seahawks defense, their offense was I think it actually was statistically the best offense in NFL last year. They got 13 points yesterday. And this is the thing about week one. If week one, bad teams can win games, but at the same time, you might actually see the identity of some teams from last year who actually just weren't that good. The Seahawks kind of advantage them. Again, I apologize about the sun Yeah, that's nothing really do about that. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. So you just have to deal with my face being blurred out by the solar rays. But the Rams showed up. Matt Stafford had a good game. He was getting the ball around pretty much everybody who had gloves on. Cooper Kupp didn't play. He's gonna be out. I think they said like 3 or 4 weeks. So every receiver was getting the rock. A lot of running backs was getting turns as well. So it was just an all in all good game for the Rams. Did the better team win? Better team lose? It's week 1. No one knows who the better teams are. So the next game we got wrong was the Raiders Broncos game. But the thing about this game is I wasn't even actually going to lose this game, but the Broncos kicker was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just lose this game. And that's what the Broncos lost. The Broncos kicker Lutz, he missed the extra point, which is that would have been if you want to have a crystal ball, that would have made the score 17-17. He also missed a regular field goal kick, another 3 points, which would have made the game 17-20. So the Broncos actually would have won the game if their kicker just made their kicks. But if you look at the team stats, this is a very close game. Like across the board, the Raiders and Broncos are just trading punches the entire game. So it was a very entertaining game in that sense. Russell Wilson looked very, very good. The Broncos offense looked very, very good. The defense, kind of like with the Packers, where there's like a bend don't break. But I don't view the Broncos defense having like a bad game. It's still a 17-score game, which isn't a bad defensive showing. But a lot of the Raiders' advantage on defense, on offense, is because the Broncos defense kept having like some of the most bonehead penalties. Like it wasn't like pass interference here and there or things like that, defensive holding. It was just all a bunch of boneheaded penalties where it's like all that could have been avoided. Late hits, unsportsmanlike conduct, just a lot of nonsense penalties that just show bad discipline. So Broncos need to work on discipline on defense more so than anything else. And then Dolphins Chargers. The funny thing is I think the Dolphins have a good chance and when their division. But the Chargers are a team where just I didn't want to entirely pick against them. That was a toss-up game. I'm surprised I actually went for the 11 points on that one. That's also a toss-up game. Very, very good game. Where the Chargers never had a chance to win it, but the Dolphins defense they held strong. Jaguars Colts, easy game to pick between Colts. Richards looks like he's gonna be a decent quarterback, but the Colts are a rebuilding team, and a rebuilding team versus the Jaguars, who are a good team. It was an easy pick. Bills Jets, which is Monday Night Football game. The Bills losing is unexpected. Josh Allen had 4 turnovers. If you're going to turn the ball over that many times, you're going to lose. Like the Bills lost on a walk-off punt return. So it's like if you're going to be in a situation, if you're going to sit here and have 4 turnovers. And you didn't even lose to Rodgers. Rodgers got hurt in the first drive, and it's looking bad. According to Salah, according to all reports coming out right now, it's looking like it's going to be a Achilles injury to where Rodgers might be out for the entire season. So the Jets did all of that to get Rodgers and might even have a year. The good news and all of the bad news when it comes to Jets fans, for those who don't know how the Packers trade with the Jets worked, the Packers got a first-round pick, second round pick, I think a 4th or 6th got on that one, and then a conditional second round pick. The conditional second round pick becomes a first round pick if Rodgers plays 60% of the Jets snaps. Rodgers, if he's out for the year, which is expected, that means the Jets keep the first round pick. So if you're a Jets fan, there's a silver lining in his injury. You get to keep your first round draft pick, and Packers get your second round pick instead because of Rodgers getting hurt. If your team is not willing to fight with Zach Wilson, or if you don't want to trade for someone's backup quarterback to push for the starting job, then maybe using that first round pick for a quarterback could be what you look for, like Caleb Williams or anyone who will be deemed as the number 1 quarterback coming out of the draft next year. You could be doing that. That might be the better idea than trying to rely on Rodgers, who should have retired. I keep saying I have videos on this channel about Rodgers. He should have retired. He was going to. Rodgers himself said in an interview that he was 90% sure that he was going to retire. And the reason why he didn't was because of pettiness and spite. At 10% of why he didn't retire was he heard the Packers were moving on, and that made him upset. He was upset that the Packers were going to move on, and decided that out of spite, he was just going to take a trade. He was going to be petty about it. It was like, you know what? I'm mad that they're going to move on from me, even though I didn't say that I was ready to retire yet, even though I was going to retire anyways. He should have retired. And you can say, well, the injury is not his fault. The injury is because they played on artificial turf, and turf is known to cause injuries. The NFL and NWSL need to get rid of freaking turf and use real grass. Sure, that's a solid argument. Cool. But the fact of the matter is, Rodgers might be out for the year. The Jets they gambled. I don't feel bad for them. If you gamble, like, it's not because I'm a Packers fan. I don't feel bad for the Jets because if you gamble, things can go good, things go bad. I can't feel bad for anyone who gambles. I can't. You made that choice. The Jets gambled on going for Rodgers. They gambled on signing like a lot of people who Rodgers like Alan Lazard, who was kind of banged up. He had a hurt shoulder. You went out there and got Nathaniel Hackett, who had like an awful year as the Broncos head coach. So like, you did all the things for Rodgers, and you gambled on him with getting up those picks for him and giving him all that money. It's like, sports is sports. He would get hurt. Anyways, Cowboys, Giants. Now, I picked the Cowboys to win. I said in the video before that the Cowboys they're going to be a team who, as always, who's going to win 12 games. That's what the Cowboys are. The Cowboys are a team who wins 12 games every single year and then don't show up in the playoffs. They showed up last night to just outright destroy the Giants in every way, shape, or form when it comes to football. In all facets of the game, special teams, offense, defense, they just outright bullied the Giants. The Giants, as I said in the video, the Giants are going to take a step backwards. That was my prediction. I said the Giants will take a step backwards this year. The Cowboys and Eagles are going to beat the playoffs. Eagles going to win the division. Cowboys going to get the wild card spot. Giants are not going to the playoffs. That's what I said. And you saw a team yesterday. Again, this is just overreaction essentially because it's week one. Anything can happen. There's still freaking 16 more games to go. Remember, there's 17 games in the NFL season now. There's still 16 more games to go. Giants could turn it around. They could win all 16 remaining games. They won't, but they could. Or like, that's just life. But they got thumped. Like, that's just how. Ain't no way to say it other than they got thumped. Eagles, Patriots put up a fight. Like, I didn't think the Patriots put up a fight. I'm just being honest with you. I did not have New England put up a fight. They put up a fight. The Eagles, they're the Eagles. They went out there and they won the game. They did good. Patriots showed some promise. They show like that they're getting there. They're not that far off. Then the last game, the game that I had as my highest bet was the Bengals and Browns. Again, who would have saw it coming? It's not just that the Browns won. The Browns just outright brutalized the Bengals. Wasn't even a close game. Burrows had a very, very bad game. They didn't even look like an NFL team out there. They just didn't. The Browns didn't have like a great game. They just destroyed the Bengals in a battle of Ohio. But like I said, week one, do I expect the Bengals to be bad the rest of the year? No, I see them as still being a playoff team. Still see them as potential winning division between them and the Ravens. That's just that. So anyways, that's it for my week one recaps. I'll catch you guys with the week two predictions in the next video. Leave anything else you have in the comment section below. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Follow me on Twitch, where I stream every Monday through Thursday. Actually, I stream every day on weekdays. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern till 7 or 8 o'clock. Link is also below. Right now we're playing Starfield. We're going to be playing Liza P next week. Then we're going to play Cyberpunk DLC the week after that. So come by, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff on my Twitch stream. I'm a very chatty guy, so if you come on my Twitch stream, even if I'm playing a game that has nothing to do with sports, I'm not streaming about sports you want to. That's just how it works. I'll be your boy. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Y'all stay safe. Become to another. I'm out of here. Deuces.